साथियों, म्यूजियोकैमरा गुरुग्राम में वक्तव्य का प्रोग्राम रखा गया था जिसमें दो मशहूर फोटोग्राफर, एक संदीप शंकर और दूसरे दिनेश खन्ना की बातें हमें सुनने को मिली थी। और बातें इस पर थी कि कैसे एनालॉग के ज़माने में फोटोग्राफर्स क्वालिटी मेंटेन करने का इंतजामात करते रहते थे। आज हम ले रहे हैं सिर्फ संदीप शंकर जी को, और अगले हफ्ते आप देखेंगे, सुनेंगे, समझेंगे दिनेश खन्ना जी को। तो आज संदीप शंकर बता रहे हैं, उनको सुने और देखें उनकी तस्वीरें। एनालॉग से किस तरह से अपनी क्वालिटी को मेंटेन करने का प्रयास होता था।
I took pictures of what was happening around me, which he liked. That sort of rang a bell in my head. I said that you've got to shoot pictures outside your environment. So I started doing that. Anyway, that was a great lead to me. In those days, photography was what? Cameras, films, darkroom, and lugging all the weight around, Cameras were very heavy. I figured that to shoot pictures in the street at a pace that I wanted to shoot, I needed two camera bodies, wide, a normal, and a telephoto lens. So I somehow managed to get these three lenses and the cameras. I joined Hindustan Times as a photographer, as the junior most photographer, and I used to get all kind of assignments like interviews and things like that, which I did. But I also managed to accompany my senior photographers on larger assignments. That was a time of emergency in India, and the security was not so tight, so I could go with these people even to cover the Prime Minister's house or the Parliament, and that was a great deal for me. So I clicked a lot of pictures there. The kind of cameras changed, they become a little lighter. Then the motor drives arrived, and you could shoot much faster with those motor drives. And processing your film and making prints. There were a lot of controls to make your print. Basically, the negatives were divided into four sort of categories. One, and there were 4 grades of bromide paper which you could use. Jagdish is here, and we have worked a lot. If you overexpose your negative, you could print it on soft grade of paper. If you correctly exposed your negative, there was a grade called special. Slightly underexposed, normal, and very underexposed negatives used to go on hard grade. But hard grade was very difficult to control. We got so used to chemicals like Kodak D76, 163, hypo, and potassium ferricyanide. It was great fun. Seeing the film develop and then making the prints was really an amazing experience, because when you see the image appear on a sheet of paper, it looks wonderful. Well, of course, analog photography required you to carry a lot of equipment, cameras. As a news photographer, we started carrying our dark rooms with us. So there was a mobile dark room, which was, and news used to take us to all kind of places, and so we used to process the films there, make prints, and then radio photo them to the newspaper or the agencies. And I'm talking of my days in Associated Press during 1987. There was about 80 kilos of equipment you had to carry all the time with you when you were traveling. And the travel was always to crisis hit areas, basically violence hit areas. I will give you one example. I was sent to Sri Lanka to cover the India-Sri Lanka Accord, and we reached Sri Lanka late at night, and we couldn't get out of the airport because there was so much anti-India violence, and there was curfew. I mean, people were just out on the streets to catch any Indians. So we were there all night, and then next morning we had to get out of the airport. So this sort of gave us a little police convoy to take us to the town. And we managed to reach the town, and Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister, and he was to arrive for a ceremonial reception. And I reached the spot with dragging this 80 kilo of weight with me because there was just no help. So I reached there, and by the time I could start shooting pictures, his guard of honor had already started. And in the guard of honor, he got hit by a Sri Lankan Navy soldier who attacked Rajiv with his rifle butt. And I could just shoot about 7 or 8 frames, I think. But they were very important frames. So I was working for Associated Press, and Associated Press is the largest photo agency in the world, and we had to be the fastest to move our pictures. So this 80 kilos included a portable darkroom, a transmitter, a photo transmitter which was hooked on to analog telephone wires, and then transmitted. So we used to transmit our pictures to either London or Tokyo, I think, in those days. So I managed to, the hotel was right where this, we used to choose our hotels in such a way that they were right close to wherever the event was happening. So managed to get to the hotel and prepare my darkroom and process the film, and there was no time to dry the film. So the enlarger had the possibility of printing from a wet negative. So you save that 7, 8, 10 minutes of your time in drying the film, and you straight away print. Now imagine if in those days I had the digital camera, it would have been such fun, because you could have shot at least 25, 30 frames of pictures in those 1 or 2 seconds, because the digital motor drive is so much faster. Then you don't have to process anything. You just go and attach it to the computer. But well, those were the days, and those were the challenges. So my shift to digital was very slow and very late. But finally, I had to succumb to digital, and well, I'm quite happy shooting with digital now. It has improved a lot. Initially, the colors were not nice, and the grain, well, not the grain, but the pixels were splitting all the time, so that didn't give you good enough satisfaction. But anyway, now we are here, and well, we have forgotten about films now, and processing and things like that. A big difference is in cataloging or archiving your pictures. I think it's very difficult to archive digital pictures. I've lost so many pictures, digital pictures, for really no reason. I mean, the technology changed, or I stored it on CD-ROMs, or that was because how much can you store in your computer? So you put it on a CD-ROM. We thought that CD-ROM would never go bad. But technology changed, and now you can't even read those CD-ROMs. Then came DVDs. Again, DVDs out. Your new computers don't even have a DVD reader. So a lot of pictures, and these things actually go bad very quickly. So I've lost a lot of pictures from once I went to digital. Whereas all my old negatives are intact and they're in very good condition. Everybody used to tell us that, these negatives don't last beyond 25, 30 years. But, well, they're almost 50 years old. some of the some of these negatives. Nothing has happened. Nothing has happened to the quality of those pictures. So anyway, so till we figure out what one can do for archiving. Now they say you do a cloud storage, but then who knows about cloud? I mean, I'm not too sure of keeping my pictures somewhere else, I like to have them close to me, to be able to see when I want to see, and to have total control over it. Once you put it on cloud, I think you do lose control over your pictures. I may be pretty wrong, or I may be very conservative about it, but that's a fact. Also, storing on cloud is extremely expensive.
Next.
This is Mrs. Gandhi holding a cabinet meeting outside in the lawns of her house. During emergency, Mrs. Gandhi coming out of Parliament after a parliamentary party meeting. And that's Jagjivan Ram after he moved out of Congress and joined Janata Party under Jayaprakash Narayan ji. Resettlement colonies which were set up in Delhi by Sanjay Gandhi. So people from old Delhi, Turkman Gate and all these areas, their houses were demolished during emergency, and they were taken there and resettled in these areas. Andhra floods in 1978. Mrs. Gandhi is released from Tihar jail. This is a riot which took place in Saharanpur near Delhi, a communal riot. Police station was burned down, and I think the rioters had just stuck a cap up the stick. So, as you can see in this picture, there are a large number of chappals and shoes lying on the ground. This was in Moradabad, in the Moradabad riots. It shows how people ran once the riots began. That's Sanjay Gandhi coming out of Supreme Court building. At that time we were allowed to shoot right inside Supreme Court. This is the Bhopal gas victim. This is a picture from Amritsar, and the policemen are standing in the doorways of the homes to avoid any sniper fire. That's a whole lot of Sikh militants playing volleyball in the streets of Amritsar. This is Sant Jarnail Singh Bhindranwala, who was the cause of all the Punjab trouble. This is on the eve of Operation Blue Star, when the Indian Army went into the Golden Temple and killed a lot of people to get control of gold. This is the Akal Takht. Akal Takht is which was destroyed by bombing from the army. Mrs. Gandhi with the first two Indian astronauts who had gone in the space by a Russian. Rajiv during his brother Sanjay's cremation. Rajiv Gandhi and Rahul after Mrs. Gandhi's death. It was a very sort of great moment for me to catch at that time. I was very excited about this picture. Phulan Devi at the time of her release. I followed actually Phulan for a long time. So this is Phulan at the time of her release from the jail. That's Mrs. Gandhi and Ziaul Haq, the Pakistan president. That's the President Zail Singh doing yoga. This is the picture of Rajiv I was talking about in Colombo. This is one of the frames out of 7 or 8 frames where I got it right. Rajiv during a Padyatra just before he died, actually, on the last election campaign. P.V. Narasimha Rao, when he became the Prime Minister, he was very sick. He was not well, but once he became the Prime Minister, he exercised, and so I requested him if I could be allowed to shoot him during exercise. So on a treadmill. That's Narasimha Rao with Sonia Gandhi. They didn't have it's reported they didn't have a very good relationship. So, this is in Ayodhya just before the masjid was demolished in 1992. I think a day before. Yeah, that's another picture in the Parliament House. Just 3 leaders. I've done a lot of work on children for UNICEF. This is from Pushkar, the camel fair. When the river is absolutely down, there's hardly any water. So these guy taking buffaloes and the footmarks created by the buffalo.
साथियों, आपने देखा है, सुना है संदीप शंकर जी को, और कुछ ऐतिहासिक तस्वीरें भी हमने देखी हैं। अगले सप्ताह अगली वीडियो में हम दिखाएंगे दिनेश खन्ना जी की तस्वीरें और वो किस तरह से एनालॉग पर कलर स्लाइड्स, कलर ट्रांसपेरेंसी में कलर टेम्परेचर और एक्सपोजर को किस तरह से मेंटेन करते थे। तो थोड़ा इंतजार करें, और अगर आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो सब्सक्राइब जरूर करें और मित्रों को शेयर करें ताकि सबको इस मेहनत, इस परिश्रम का लाभ मिल सके। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।